Of course, the most important piece of equipment would be the hammock itself. This is my second generation hammock. It is pretty much like the first with some adjustments. Now the hammock is attached to the tree by a piece of nylon webbing. It's got a loop sewn into the end, and you wrap that around the tree, and then that goes down to this end over here. Itself is just a piece of fabric that I've gathered at the end, and then I've attached a piece of paracord using a knot that I call a reverse Klemheist. It's a type of Prusik knot. And that just loops up and then it attaches into the carabiner. Now for my hammock, I've created a faux ridgeline. That's the red piece here. I did this as a way to get it so I get the same curve every night, no matter how far the trees are apart. You always get the same curve. The reason that's important is because it keeps the underquilt about the same every night. I just found it easier than trying to fiddle with the underquilt. The ridgeline is also nice for hanging things like a flashlight above your head and that sort of thing. On the other end, I've done basically the same thing, but what I've done is I made a bag that has a hole in the end that you can loop it through, and then you can stuff the hammock into this bag as you are taking it up, like so. One of the biggest issues when hammock camping is trying to stay warm underneath. The sleeping bag will keep you warm above, but that gets compressed underneath you, letting all the cold air rush in underneath. That's why I built my own hammock quilt. This is basically a rectangle of fabric. I doubled it over, so there's 2 layers. And inside I have sewn some batting, quilting batting. And then I have elastic right here on the ends, and I also put some elastic in the center here. The hammock quilt is attached from the quilt and goes up and then just clips into the carabiner. And then that will just hold it in place. What I do is I lay the hammock inside like so. Because of the elastic, when you lay down in the hammock, the quilt will adjust to create a seal around you, blocking out all the draft. And then that can be adjusted as needed over the night. If you've been hammock camping for any amount of time, you know that one of the worst things is cold spots. Those are spots that even if you have an underquilt or anything else, you start to get cold in certain spots. That's why I developed what I call the Paco pads. What these are is just pieces of craft foam. I think they're, I don't know what size they are, 18 by 24 maybe, 12 by 24, who knows. But they're these thin pieces of craft foam inside these just sheets of fabric. So they fold out to different sizes, and then you can layer them in the hammock any way you want to eliminate any of those cold spots. I have more than one of them at a time so that I can adjust however I feel like that night. If I'm feeling one spot getting colder, like around my shoulders, I just slide this up or down and there I go. It's just a rectangular piece of fabric with a loop sewn to one end. You take a piece of paracord through the loop, and then you tie it to the end of your hammock on one side, Then you have your 2 points where you tie it to your ridge line, right there, and down there. And then it just drapes over the top of the hammock, like that, as a way to keep the heat in. And this can slide up, slide back, so it's very adjustable to get just this right size pocket of air for you. So my rainfly is a hexagonal tarp that I made myself. Video coming soon. But basically it's a hexagonal piece of fabric, waterproof, that goes up to a ridge line that's attached to the tree, and then comes down and goes all the way across, and then comes down and is attached to a stake on each side. I'll show you more in another video of how that is all set up.